Okay, let's really dig into this today. We're focusing on Numbers chapter 3.
Right. This chapter, it's fascinating. It really lays out the whole structure for the Levites.
How they were set apart and organized within ancient Israel, you mean? For the tabernacle service?
Exactly. And why. It's
Right.
incredibly detailed, almost, well, surprisingly so.
It feels very specific, defining their role, explaining why them, and then all the counting and duties, like a divine blueprint.
Precisely. A highly structured system. We should probably unpack that initial setup first, right?
Yeah, the priests, the chapter starts there, establishing the line from Aaron and Moses at Sinai.
Correct. It names Aaron's sons, Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. These are the anointed priests, ordained for service.
But straight away, there's that critical event involving two of them.
Yeah, a really tragic one. Nadab and Abihu. They died before the Lord right there in the desert of Sinai.
And the text gives a reason, doesn't it? Something about unauthorized fire.
It does. Stark. Offering unauthorized fire. It really highlights how precise and maybe even dangerous approaching the divine was seen in this system.
And that had a big consequence for the priesthood line itself.
Huge. They had no sons. So suddenly it's just Eleazar and Ithamar left to serve as priests while Aaron was alive.
That reduction, it sort of sets the stage, doesn't it? Creates a need.
Exactly. It leads right into the next part, the Lord's command to Moses about the whole tribe of Levi.
Okay, so what was their initial assignment?
The command is clear. Bring the tribe of Levi, present them to Aaron the priest, their main job, to assist him and his sons.
So not priests themselves, but designated helpers,
Yeah.
right at the center of things.
Right, but their role was broader than just, helping the priests directly.
How so?
Well, the text says they perform duties for the whole community at the tent of meeting. They're doing the actual work of the tabernacle.
Kind of like the support staff,
Right.
the caretakers.
That's a good way to put it. Enabling the whole system. They were responsible for taking care of all the furnishings of the tent of meeting.
And by doing that work,
They're fulfilling the obligations of the Israelites themselves. It's like a substitutionary service. The Levites are doing the tasks that represent the whole community's duty towards the sanctuary.
okay. Stepping in on behalf of everyone else. The text uses pretty strong language for this, I remember.
It really does. It says the Levites are to be given wholly to Aaron and his sons from among all the Israelites, like a dedicated gift.
A consecrated gift. And this dedication, it came with a very, very strict boundary.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyone else who approaches the sanctuary must be put to death. That's explicit.
Wow. So access, even just to help out, wasn't open at all. You had to be designated.
It underlines that idea of holiness and specific roles. You couldn't just wander in.
Okay, so we get their job assist, care for the tabernacle. But the text gives this really powerful, almost surprising reason why the tribe of Levi specifically was picked for this unique role.
Yes, this is where the divine rationale comes in, and it connects to history.
What does the Lord declare?
I have taken the Levites from among the Israelites in place of the first male offspring of every Israelite woman.
A direct substitute. The whole tribe of Levi replaces the firstborn sons of all the other tribes.
Exactly. And the reason given is, the Levites are mine, for all the firstborn are mine.
That claim on the firstborn, it goes back further, doesn't it? Back to Egypt.
It does, absolutely. Back to the Exodus. Remember when God struck down the firstborn in Egypt?
The final plague.
Right. But he passed over the Israelite homes, saving their firstborn. And in doing so, he claimed those firstborn human and animal as his own, his property, essentially.
So the Levites are now being taken as this tribe-wide stand-in for that original claim on every firstborn son.
Precisely. It connects redemption, being saved from death, directly to dedication and service. It gives their selection a whole different weight,
It really does. Okay, so once they're designated as this replacement group, the chapter gets very practical, counting and organizing them.
Yes. The command comes to Moses. They're in the desert of Sinai. Count the Levites. Specifically, every male, a month old or more. By families, by clans.
Not just a head count then, it's about establishing the structure for their service.
Exactly. And the tribe is broken down according to Levi's three main sons.
Gershon, Kohath, and Merari.
Those are the three main divisions.
Hmm.
And the text even lists the clans under each one. Gershon had Libni and Shimei.
Kohath had Amram, Izhar, Hebron, Uzziel.
Right. And Merari had Mali and Mushi. The level of genealogical detail is quite striking.
It really is. And we get counts for each division, too.
We do. Specific counts of males a month old or more. Gershonites, 7,500.
Okay.
Kohathites, 8,600.
Got it.
And the Merarites, 6,200.
Which adds up to 22,000 Levite males, a month old or more.
Correct. And the text also points out who's in charge overall, supervising their care of the sanctuary.
Who is that?
Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest. He'd later become the high priest, of course.
Okay, so we have the groups, the numbers. Now, the text gets incredibly specific about what they actually did and even where they camped around the tabernacle.
Yeah, this is where it shifts from numbers to, like, practical logistics. Each division had distinct tasks, no overlap.
Let's break that down. The Gershonites first. What were they handling?
The Gershonites were responsible for, let's say, the fabric side of things. The tabernacle structure is a tent, its coverings, the entrance curtain, the courtyard curtains, the courtyard entrance curtain.
And the ropes.
And all the ropes associated with those items, yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, the outer layers, the textiles, the portable enclosure.
Makes sense. And where did they camp?
They were assigned the west side of the tabernacle. Their leader was named Eliasaph, son of Lael.
Okay, west side. What about the Kohathites? Their duties sound, well, pretty central.
They definitely had the most sensitive job. They were responsible for the sanctuary itself, handling the actual furniture, the most sacred items.
Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
The ark, the table, the lampstand, the altars, all the articles used for ministry inside the sanctuary, plus that important inner curtain.
The veil separating the holy place from the most holy place. Wow. These are the items inside the tent. High-stakes stuff.
Absolutely. And they camped on the south side. Their leader was Lisfin, son of Uziel. Chapter 4 actually adds more detail later about how carefully they had to handle and cover these items before moving them.
Right, because they were so sacred. Okay, south side. That leaves the Merarites. What was their piece of the puzzle?
The Merarites dealt with the heavy lifting, the structural backbone.
The framework.
Yeah, the frames of the tabernacle, its crossbars, posts, bases, all the related equipment like tent pegs and ropes, plus the posts and bases for the courtyard surrounding it.
So the actual skeleton and foundation of the whole setup.
Pretty much. They camped on the north side. Leader was Zuriel, son of Abihail. It shows how every part, from inner sanctum items to outer framework, needed its own dedicated team.
And where did Moses and Aaron and the priests camp in all this?
They were positioned on the east side, right in front of the tent of meeting, facing the sunrise.
The entrance side.
Exactly. Emphasizing their role as the officiants, responsible for the sanctuary on behalf of everyone, overseeing the Levites, doing the sacrifices.
And the text reminds us again about that strict access rule.
It does. Right after describing Moses and Aaron's position, it repeats, anyone else who approached the sanctuary was to be put to death. Just hammering home the boundaries, the holiness, the danger of crossing lines.
Okay, let's circle back to that core idea. Levites substituting for the firstborn. The chapter doesn't just state it, it actually follows through with another count, right?
It does. The Lord commands Moses to count the other side of the equation.
Yeah.
All the firstborn Israelite males, a month old or more. Lists them by name.
And what was that total?
That count came to 22,273.
Ah, okay, so here's where the math gets interesting. You've got 22,000 Levite males designated as substitutes.
But 22,273 firstborn males who are technically claimed by God under that earlier principle.
So there's a difference, a specific small difference of 273.
Exactly. 273 firstborn Israelites who exceed the number of Levites available for that one-to-one substitution.
And the text doesn't just, like, round it off.
Nope. It provides a very specific, detailed way to handle this excess redemption.
How did that work? What was the process?
For each one of those 273 firstborn males without a direct Levite counterpart, a redemption price had to be paid.
And it wasn't just any amount, right? It was fixed.
Very specific. 5 shekels for each one. And the text clarifies the unit, according to the sanctuary shekel, which weighs 20 gerahs.
So a standard sacred weight, not just any 5 shekels.
Right. This emphasizes it's a formal transaction within the sacred system.
And where did that redemption money go?
The source is clear. It was to be given directly to Aaron and his sons, the priests.
Okay. And does it say how much that came to in total?
He does. Moses collected 1,365 shekels of silver, according to that sanctuary shekel standard, specifically from those 273 extra firstborn.
And the final step.
Moses gave that exact amount to Aaron and his sons, just as the Lord commanded. It completes the loop, you know. It shows how that divine claim on the firstborn was fully accounted for.
Through both substitution with the Levites.
And through this specific financial redemption for the remainder, who couldn't be substituted one for one.
It really demonstrates how absolute that principle of God's ownership of the firstborn was considered, but also how practical the system was in working it out.
Yeah, it involves dedicated human service, the Levites, but also this measurable redemption process when the numbers don't quite line up perfectly.
So looking back at Numbers 3, it's this incredibly detailed, almost architectural plan for how sacred service worked.
Definitely. You've got the core priests, their numbers affected by tragedy,
Yeah.
then the whole tribe of Levi brought in.
Chosen as that divine substitute for the firstborn, based on God's history with Israel.
And then the meticulous implementation, counting them, assigning specific separate jobs for every part of the tabernacle and courtyard,
Designating camping spots, enforcing those really strict access rules.
and woven through it all is that precise calculation and payment to redeem the small numerical difference, tying back to the firstborn principle.
It's more than just a list of rules. It paints a picture of a whole community organized around this central sacred space.
Yeah, with specific roles, clear boundaries, even financial transactions, defining their relationship to the divine presence described there.
It really emphasizes order, doesn't it? And careful, authorized approach to holiness in this system.
Absolutely. The immense importance placed on doing things the right way by the right people.
Which leaves us with something to think about, maybe. What does this incredibly specific, seemingly rigid system with its designated roles, restricted access, required redemptions, what does it tell us about the nature of the relationship being set up here between this community and the sacred space at its center? What principles are being communicated through all this intricate structure?